Welcome to Thriving Through, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the world of independent consulting and shows you exactly what you need to do to build a successful consulting practice. I'm AJ, I'm your host, and each week I dive deep into the real life stories of self-employed consultants who have transformed their expertise into thriving businesses. Now, this isn't about glossy success stories or overnight miracles. This is about the grit, the strategies, and the resilience it takes to build a consulting practice that is not only financially rewarding, but also personally fulfilling. From navigating the feast or famine cycle to landing dream clients, from managing the unique challenges of entrepreneurship to creating systems that support your business, I'm covering it all. Each episode features a candid conversation with consultants who've been where you are. We share their stories, their insights, and the hard-earned lessons that transform their business into a thriving practice. So whether you're just starting out, looking to level up as a consultant, or wanting to reignite your passion for consulting, this podcast is for you. It's your weekly dose of inspiration, insight, and strategies that will pump you up and motivate you for the rest of the week. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and get ready to learn, get inspired, and most importantly, to thrive. Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is William Graham. Thank you, William, for coming on the podcast. Give us your 30-second elevator speech of who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I actually am in the business credit and lending space. So that's where I'm at. I help business owners with establishing business credit, and then lending on the EIN instead of the SSN. So that's the main gist of it. I found out, some various stats on how businesses get started and fail, and the failure rates and things like that. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's what I can do. I can kind of fill that spot and see if I can help business owners to kind of get a firm footing and then go from there.
When we talked earlier, what I was especially impressed with was that you articulated very clearly your business mission. Mm-hmm. You said you help businesses avoid becoming failure statistics. And then you quoted a couple startling statistics. Would you share those with us?
Yes. So this is actually in the SBA websites, and what you'll find is nearly 80% of all businesses fail within 5 years. Of that 80%, the majority of them fail within the first year. So, I mean, these are very staggering numbers. So the idea here is to be able to, again, to get that firm foundation, so that business owners can then apply for business lines of credit or credit cards or even loans and things like that, and keep that separate from their personal side. So that's the idea is to separate personal from your business. So,
and exactly how does establishing business credit help entrepreneurs beat those staggering odds that you just talked about?
Well, the first thing is so there's 125 points of your business credit profile. So that's a lot. If you take your business to the bank and you say, hey, I want a business loan or a line of credit or even a credit card, they'll look at your business. And if you haven't hit all these, then they look at it as being not a valid business. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's something shady going on. They don't really know. They're not going to address it. So then what they do is they push you over to personal side. So now you have to provide a personal guarantee for your business. So now as you start thinking about that, you're like, oh, wow, okay. So if the car's engine blows up next week, I've got all my money tied in the business and I don't have anything for my personal. So the idea here is to be able to allow the business entity to stand on its own and the personal side stand on its own so that you protect your assets. And there's a lot of things that goes along with that. It's more than just protection of assets through finances. It's all through legal, anything. It's just a myriad of things, and that's how you protect your assets.
And those are the things that you do for your clients.
Correct. Correct.
Why is it important to structure your business correctly from day one?
Well, aside from being able to apply for loans and lines of credit through your EIN, the other thing is it has to deal with your legal aspect. So there's a term called piercing the veil. So what happens in piercing the veil, um, as if a business owner is a lawsuit brought against a business owner or a business, what they will do is they will look at the character of the person and the business and how do they interact. Does the business owner, the business, and also himself, um, and when you do that, that's what's called piercing the veil. So what they'll look at is they'll look at your bank records. um, are you paying for groceries? Are you paying for, various things through your business account that you should be paying through your personal account? Are you paying things on your personal account that should be on the business side? So again, when that line gets convoluted, it makes it very easy to pierce the veil. And so the idea is again to have a business entity that stands on its own, and it is separate from the person that is the business owner. I think even in coaches, this would be very important, especially if you look at even business naming. If the business name is, say, William Graham, um, while it's nice to build a brand on my name, I can't sell it later on when I'm done. I can't necessarily pass it off to my kids because his name's not William. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it just becomes a lot of dominoes that may not fall just right for you. So that's the idea is we structure everything effectively and properly so that the business acts as the business and the person can act as the person. Later on, you can sell it as you want. It's a separate entity of its own.
Okay.
Huh?
You mentioned that as you were building your business, that you're
Mhm.
handling multiple roles. What
Yes.
strategies have helped you manage your time while wearing all these different hats?
Well, the one thing I try to do is time blocking, and that's probably about the easiest way.
Explain a little bit how you use time blocking and what it is.
So in my time blocking, what I do is I'll take my day, divide it up into, various things. I know I'm going to start work at a certain time. I know maybe I want to get lunch at a certain time, maybe um, my end of my day. And then from there, I block out my time. So this may be the time that I'm on, most of my phone calls. This is the time when I'm doing, um, these various tasks, whatever my tasks are for that day. Um, Typically, right now, it's been phone calls and but you try to eliminate a lot of the things that are the time wasters. It can be very easy to get onto the internet and surf the web, and before you know it, TikTok has wasted your day.
Mhm.
So, and that's the way it is. And while I need that kind of creativity to kind of help me understand how algorithms work and things like that in order to create my own content, it's important not to get caught up in that. So again, my time blocking allows me to say, okay, well, now it's time for me to go to this, those kind of things. What's the
Okay.
next item on the agenda? So that's really what it is.
Are you at the point in your business where you know you can predict your income each month?
I'm not to the point of each month, but I'm getting to the point of quarterly.
What's been your biggest struggle so far in scaling your business, and how are you working to overcome it?
Well, in anything, it's the one is the cash flow, so it's just like any other person, and I can do the same that everybody else does, and that might be to establish my business credit and to take out the loans. Um, I am I'm not in that position that I really want to do that. Again, I'm a solopreneur. I'm not hiring, those kind of things. So I'm not to that part. So the scaling of money is the one part. The other is possibly I am more in the way than anything else because again, there's only so many days a week, so many hours in a day. And if you're one of those that's wearing all the hats, you might have a tendency of not being able to really do quite everything, as if you had a staff that you can now step back. So there's a thing called working in the business or working on the business. So right now I am working in the business. And of course, that is my goal within a year to be out of the business and people are doing things and I'm just managing again. So that's where I'm going.
And that's what you mean by working on the business, is when you're not wearing all the hats, you're the CEO and you have
Correct.
people doing
Sure.
the work. How do you find your leads tell me about how do you find your leads and how do you convert them into prospects and then clients?
Right. So I had started off with, I had some VAs that were working on generating leads for me and they were doing pretty well. Um, I'm getting, a lot of leads. And again, you understand how the funnels work. You understand that you get a lot of leads that kind of trickle down into a few people that actually take action. And so, I have a very dynamic CRM that's got everything to it, which is kind of nice. I can do a voiceless ring drop. I can do a text message. I can do emails all at the same time. So it's very nice. And part of what that does is now once they respond to it, I know, okay, this person's going to they've taken notice to it. Follow up with a regular phone call, just old school phone call. And that's kind of part of it. So when I'm talking to people, it's about building the rapport. It's people don't like to be sold to. At least that's been my experience. They don't like to be sold. What I do is try to build that rapport and talk to them and say, hey, you know what? I noticed you were trying to, get a loan for this project. So tell me about the project. Well, people like to talk. That's the other thing. So now if you can get them to talking, tell me about the project. What do you see the project? Where's your vision? And they'll do that. They'll talk. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, well, you know what? Here's how I can help you with that. And that's kind of where where I do it. Again, I'm not the best at sales, but again, for me, it's about building the rapport. Just letting people know, I understand. So anyway, that's where I started off. Right now, I'm working with another company. What we're trying to do is to increase our more of an organic instead of my VAs going out and finding people. This one's going to be more organic. So this one's going to start getting into ad spend. So we'll see how that kind of works out. Again, being a solopreneur, that kind of helps in a lot of ways too, because I can move fairly fast. So I gave my VAs 3 months. Now I'm going to work on 3 months on this ad spend and see how that works. We'll track the numbers. We'll see how it goes, and then just go from there.
I think that what you're talking about is so important for other self-employed consultants to think about, is that, try things, give them some time, like 3 months is a good time frame.
Sure.
Put your best effort into it, give it a try, but you're not married to it.
That's
You
right.
can try something else. But another thing that you're doing that I think is so important is you are not trying to do it all at once. You are you had the VAs who are generating leads for you, and then you did the calls with them.
Sure.
You tried that for 3 months, you have the data. Now you're going to try ads for 3 months, have the data, and then compare, contrast, or find another strategy to test. And that.
So right now, on the one side is business credit. That's going to be most of your business owner, business owners. And then typically the other side will be primarily are going to be real estate investors. So
okay,
maybe houses.
So they're really two different. You've got two different targets.
Almost two different targets.
On your business coaching side, who is your ideal client?
So right now, my ideal client is going to be that business owner that's either just getting established or is, less than 5 years in business, less than $1 million in sales. And so,
Okay.
and then maybe less than 20 employees. So the
Okay.
idea is that what I did is I took that, that 5 year mark and I said, okay, most businesses fail. So that's my target. So the idea now being is that if I can get those people, those business owners, get them to establish their business credit and then separate personal and their business, then they have a better chance of, again, working the entity on its own. It becomes fundable of its own. And you can actually take out lines and credit or loans or, even credit cards based on the business, based on business income.
Okay.
And so not on your personal credit. One of the other things I'm working on trying to do is to set up my own like webinar of a sort. So the idea is with the webinar, I can run that every month or so, and then just
Mhm.
send advertising to that. But the point is that yes, you have to be able to get these people to understand that this is a need that they need to do sooner rather than later, because it does take time. So building business credit can take 6 months to 2 years. With when you start going into your data, because with my CRM, I can actually track the data, and so what I'm able to do is to see how long somebody has been in, say, that funnel. When they went into the funnel, did they bounce out or did they go through to completion? And so as I track that in my data, I can start seeing, okay, well, they were in the funnel, so something attracted them, but something now in the funnel didn't cause them to go to the next page. And so now I have something to look at, and that's kind of where it's at. It is a little bit more difficult, and that's where right now I have this company that's going to help me with analyzing these kind of things. But yeah, the messaging within the funnel might not be right either. Again, it's attention grabber. You've got to be able to get out there and grab their attention. If you haven't captivated them in about the first 6 seconds, you're not, your message is off.
It's very data driven, your approach. So when you know what your response rate is on a certain at the top of the funnel, and then you
Right.
can look and see where the percent goes off. So
That's
you're
right.
using the data as
Mhm.
an indication of where you need to tweak.
It's like, fishing. You've got to know what fish you're going to catch. You've got to know what bait you're going to use. You've got to know, again, everything. So it's a plan. You really have to plan this out. But if you're going to do for free, you've got to. It takes a lot more sweat equity. That's really what it is. So.
And so you use TikTok and Instagram. And do you
Mhm.
post multiple times a day?
Well, we're not going to post multiple times a day because I'm going to be running ads. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably run about three. They're going to run 3 posts a week, and then run ads, paid ads. So we'll do that.
Okay. And what are you posting? Are you active on TikTok and Instagram now?
I'm really not as much. And that's part of the, again, when you're wearing so many hats, that's the hat that I haven't really dealt with too much. This is the company that I'm hiring to do this. So they're going to do the posting for me. They're going to do it through my CRM.
So you have it in your mind's eye, you know where you want to go.
Mhm.
What's going to be the biggest challenge for getting from where you are to where you want to go? What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be?
Right now, I think it's going to be probably getting the right people in the right places. When you get into hiring, um, sometimes it could be a gamble as well. So you especially in the beginning. So they have to come in and actually kind of prove themselves as well. And again, you have to prove yourself to them. So it's a two-way street. Um, but that's the idea is that I've got to be able to hire the right person for the right job. Once they're going, then I can step out and do the next, take care of the next domino, those kind of things. um, and in this process to get there, that's probably going to be my biggest challenge, will be just making sure that I can get the right people in the right spot. When you try to hire somebody, it's going to happen. I'll put out an ad and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that does this. I'll get 1,500 applications. You know what I mean? How do you go through all that? And then find that right person. And so it's going to be a challenge, but it'll be fun. It's just part of it, part of life.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Thriving Through. I hope today's conversation has given you not just inspiration, but practical, actionable insights that you can apply to your own consulting journey. Remember, building a thriving consulting practice isn't about following someone else's blueprint perfectly. It's about finding your own path and staying true to your vision while learning from those who've walked similar roads. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your biggest takeaway on LinkedIn and tag me. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps other independent consultants find our community and join this conversation. And don't forget to hit subscribe to ensure you never miss an episode. Each week, we'll bring you more honest conversations and practical strategies to help you build a consulting business that works for you. Until next time, keep pushing forward, stay curious, and remember, you're not just surviving in consulting, you're thriving through it.